Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is episode 114 of the Audible Farm podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Couchtown Coffee. Couchtown Coffee is roasted right here in Iowa, and when you make an order, they roast your coffee specifically for you and then ship it to your house. That's awesome. Go to www.couchtowncoffee.com to make an order. You can find all the coffee they have there, as well as brewing tips. And I'll tell you what, one of the other cool things about Couchtown Coffee is if you make an order, you can make an order and save 20% by entering the code word Audible Farm. So enter the code word Audible Farm when you make an order. It lets them know that Audible Farm sent you there. So check it out, save 20%, and enjoy the coffee, everybody. This episode, I'm sitting down with John Waugh and Clint Wheelman. They are the two guys that are next to me in Three Finger Betty. The only person that's missing is Jeff Furch. Jeff played his last show with Three Finger Betty not too long ago. We actually discussed that in the podcast, as well as Three Finger Betty's new EP that has been released. We are in the process of getting that bad boy sent out to all the distribution places to make it available to stream. But as of right now, it's available on Bandcamp, and that is as of the time this production has gone out. So we recorded this a little bit early. We're talking about it as if it just got released because it did just get released. But by the time this episode comes out, it's going to be a little over a week ago. We released an EP. So check that out. It came out on Election Day. Heck of a day to have an album come out. So I was pretty stoked about it. It's the first one I ever played on, and I got to say hats off to these two gentlemen that joined me, and also a hat off to Jeff Furch, who is not here. Without you guys, I wouldn't really be on this wild ride I'm on. So, hey, I really appreciate it, you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I'm sitting down with John Waugh and Clint Wheelman of Three Finger Betty.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
Today I'm sitting down with Clint Wheelman and John Waugh. Clint and John have both been on the podcast before. I share stage time with these guys in the band Three Finger Betty. There is one member or past member of Betty that is not with us today, and it's Jeff. And when I say not with us, I mean that in not a he's gone sense, but he left the band.
He's in good health.
Yes, very, very well, good health. But yeah, we in the Betty camp recently released a new album, and I think that's pretty awesome. It's the first album I personally have ever been on. Not for you guys, but definitely not for Clint.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the new album. We got Three Finger Betty, self-titled EP, just came out on Election Day, actually. Mm-hmm. What was the thought process behind having an album come out on Election Day?
Well, if you want to listen to the lyrics, I think it's a lot about, it's not necessarily directly political, but it's basically about what a shit show everything has seemed to become.
Yes.
And you're just like, what
Yeah.
is going on here?
Yes, inspired by recent developments.
Yes. And it's like it just keeps getting worse.
It definitely does. It just feels like bad decisions compounded by other possibly worse decisions. Like it just keeps going over and over again. And that's probably one of my favorite things about Three Finger Betty lyrically. I don't write the lyrics, John does, but it's just one of those things where I think to myself, this is kind of generally how I feel about it. It's like, this sucks, that sucks, this sucks, that sucks, and you just kind of look at the way everything's going in the world. It's like, I don't know if I agree with like the majority or the minority. I don't know if I agree with any of this, and that's kind of where like the lyrical value comes into play on most of your songs.
Yeah, I'm not trying to choose a side necessarily. I got my opinion, that's good enough, but it's a song. I don't know. It's kind of just like I said, it's like, okay, here's this mess. Mm-hmm. Like, what the hell is this crap?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if somebody I don't know how people react to it. You can react to them however you want. You listen to some songs. The way everybody's so divided right now, they could listen to a song and see me and you dumb liberal, I can't stand you anymore. But the next person could listen to it and be like, have the opposite reaction.
Yeah.
Like, you're going after Trump in this song. And I'm like, oh, actually, I wrote that back when Obama was president. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you there.
I always thought that was kind of funny though too. It's like the songs are just open enough to interpretation, and also like some of them at face value, like the song "Great Again." People like if they just see the title "Great Again," they're gonna think Trump supporter. But then when you like listen to the song and read the lyrics, it's like this is almost just like an anti the current way America is song. Not necessarily.
Way, right?
Yeah, it's not necessarily anti-Trump. It's just, man, this is like pretty messed up the way everything's been going here, and I don't know. We released the album on Election Day, and it seemed like a pretty good day to release it, honestly.
These are the 6, like the real angry songs.
Yes.
To steal a line from the great comedian Bill Hicks, like if you wait for us to record more stuff, dick and fart jokes are coming. They're coming.
That's hilarious.
Stick around.
Yeah. I mean, that's some of the other fun thing I think about this is the band as Three Finger Betty, like, we're pretty easygoing. I mean, obviously, like, some of the song material might be a little angsty, but we're pretty easygoing people for the most part. Like you said, dick and fart jokes. And it's not like that's all we do or that's the only thing we've got going on, but it's, we want to laugh. We want to have a good time. We're not out. I mean, even though we are taking pot shots at the general populace, it's still kind of like we are part of the general populace as well. Yeah. So we also see where we fit into it all.
You got to laugh at yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's time to not be so uptight.
The new album actually starts out with the song "Great Again." I think that's the first song on it, if I recall correctly, on the EP. And there are a few songs on there that are duplicates. I want to say "They Live, We Sleep" is a duplicate, and maybe "Let the Flames Rise" would be a duplicate. And those might be the only two.
I think "Pitchforks and Torches" might have been on the old demo when there were 3 of us.
Yeah.
I'd have to double check. I wasn't.
If it was a brand ass new song.
It was at the time, that song, and we recorded "War for Breakfast" for that demo, but it didn't turn out right, so we didn't put it on there.
Yeah, that's right.
But those 2 songs at the time were both brand new. I'd just written them, and like we hadn't even really arranged it yet because the old drummer was stepping away.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah, and the first studio demo was like right about the time Clint, you joined the band, right?
Yeah, I'd only been in there for like 2 or 3 months.
Oh dang.
We went in.
Jesus. Oh man. So what was the thought process behind, like, you guys went in and you two with Jeff, the person who played bass on our newest EP as well, went into the studio, recorded an album. What's the thought process behind we're going to make an EP, like I guess you could call it a quote unquote more official album than a demo? And what was your thought process on duplicating a couple songs? Was there anything like, oh, these need to be re-recorded because they weren't good enough in the first place? Or is it something like, as a 4-piece, we could change the way this sounds and make it sound different? Or it just fit the theme of the album? Or
well, adding a second guitarist brought a lot into it, and it changed the songs.
Yeah.
So we kind of needed to re-record them.
Yeah.
Just having that second part.
It's true. I mean, I'm not gonna be like toot toot. Me in there made it better, but it's just different, That's
It
what
made
it
it a
is.
lot fuller. I like in the instance of "They Live, We Sleep." I don't like to toot toot either, but I'm like, that's a good fucking song.
Yeah.
And like a proper, like a couple of those, like there needs to be a proper, like mastered recording of this. And that's nothing against the demo. It was great, but it's not as good.
Yeah, it still kind of remains one of the flagship Betty tunes.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it was like the second song on the studio demo, and it's the closer on the new EP, which I guess if you've seen us play live, we almost always closed with Drunken Church, but as of late, we've been starting to close with They Live, We Sleep here and there, and it fits, like it's a banger of a tune. It's fast, it's a little thrashy, a little moshy, it gets the crowd pumping and stuff like that, just the same way Drunken Church did, to close the set. So.
And we got the second jam song out of it.
Yes, we're working on the second outro jam to close.
We got the 3/4 jam now.
Yes. Oh, it's so fun. That's like one of the funnest things about joining Betty was like, when I first started playing guitar, I wasn't, I obviously wasn't very good, but as I got better, I was like, I listened to a lot of jam tracks on YouTube and jam around a lot and things like that. And then Clint put the bug in my ear about possibly learning some tunes and showing up to a practice. So I did. And then I found out you guys do jams at the end of every song or at the end of every set. And it was like, oh man, I'm going to fit in fine here, because this is what I like to do. This is my jam, not, I guess it's pun, but, very seriously though, it was kind of cool to be like, oh, I get to actually like join up with these guys and just play stuff off the top of my head and fart around. It's not all just like cold, calculated, fast-paced, super tight punk rock music. You know, it's
put a little bit of music theory to practice.
Yeah.
It's like the song's written, but I've never written a guitar solo yet. So they just happen.
That's true.
So
that's
how I do it.
We came to a point in the recording of the new record where we're deciding whether or not we wanted to rip the solo live when we were doing it all as a band, or just to play the rhythm and then overdub the solo.
Yeah.
And we still chose to do the solo live for that very reason.
Which was different from the demo. If I remember right, we recorded a rhythm track and then I overdubbed solos that time.
Yep.
And I like it the way we did it on the EP better.
Well, I think
it was a little more pure.
Yeah, for the demo, I think you were still kind of coming into your own as a lead player. So I think you might have had a little less confidence to rip it out live.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, 3 years, 4 years of experience ripping solos out live, definitely it shows. That's
Please
for sure.
stay in key.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty fun. I'm pretty sure you're right on the studio demo about the double tracking, where you tracked a rhythm guitar and then dubbed a solo on top of it. But I mean, like as we were saying before, if you get a 4-piece, you already got somebody playing rhythm. Might as well just record it live on the fly.
Plus, there's a huge difference in vocals from the demo to what we just did. Because I'm not a singer.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. It's like, I think about that where it's like, well, if you didn't sing, it's not like I can be like, well, damn it, I'm a great singer. Let me sing. Like, that's not the case either. So I'm totally okay with letting you have the reins on the singing. That's for sure.
Now it's fine.
Yeah.
Although we listen to, if we ever make a compilation of live material, some of the stuff we listened to one the other night where I hit this vote. It was so off key. I'm just like, just delete that. That never happened.
Throw it in the garbage. So the new EP, for anybody listening, wondering where they can find it, it's available on Bandcamp at the moment. That is I would say, like the only place. There is only one other place. It's available on Reverb Nation as well.
You'll get better quality on a Bandcamp.
Yes. As well as the ability to purchase it as an EP for cheaper. I think on Reverb Nation, the only way to purchase it is song by song. So if you guys are looking to stream it, that's where you're going to have to stream it, is Three Finger
For
Betty.
now,
Yep. threefingerbetty.bandcamp.com. And you can buy the whole album for $5, or you can get each song for $1, which comes out to $6 for the album. So
it's cheaper to get the whole album.
Yeah. Buy 5, get 1 free. Running that Three Finger Betty special. No promo code required, ladies and gents. No, we did recently go through it. We overhauled a bunch of our social media. We changed our logos to the new logo. We're doing that whole like slow switch over, like new generation of Betty or something. I don't know what you want to call it.
I'm learning how to use Instagram.
Yeah, that's true. If you guys have been paying attention to some of the Three Finger Betty Instagram stuff, John's been dipping his toes in that a little bit. It's been pretty nice to allow somebody else to take over the reins of a social media platform, because Clint doesn't even use social media for the most part, so
I really should, but yeah.
No, but I mean, like it's pretty nice to not have to worry about it. Sometimes I'll sit out and schedule some things out here and there and just let it auto post. But I love, like, oh, John posted a picture of his guitar after the set or something like that. It's really nice to see that, because it's like, yeah, I didn't have to do anything, and somebody's promoting our stuff. This is nice. But social media is kind of it's one of those things that's like a necessary evil, unfortunately, especially if you're in a band. You almost can't get away from it.
And then it can sucks a lot of time away before you know it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm sure you're like me, where you're like, I'm going to go post this thing about the band, and then before you know it, you're looking up like freaking taco casserole recipes on
Something.
and it's just like, what is going on? Like, I need to just quit doing this, but
I'm just like, somebody liked our band. Who is this? I don't know who this is. Oh, they're in this band. I've never heard of this.
yeah.
And then, oh crap, there went an hour.
Yeah, doing the whole like slight networking thing on social media.
It's like, I better, okay, go follow them. I followed, all that shit.
I took me a long time, but I finally taught myself just to do it like once a month or so, and then it's like just let all the friend requests pile up because, you know, being on a podcast, I get quite a few, so it's like nonstop, and then it's just like next month I'll look at these 200 friend requests and see if I can figure out who these people are.
You can remember who they are. They're in.
And then we'll add them up and we'll figure it out from there. But other than that, anything on social media for Three Finger Betty, you can find us Three Finger Betty at Three Finger Betty, Facebook.com/Three Finger Betty. Same with Instagram and Twitter and Bandcamp and Reverb Nation. Those are the big 5 as far as the social media platforms we use. There are plans to get the new album out on streaming services, you know, worldwide, I guess, just like everyone else. But we recently parted ways with our previous distributor for our, you know, studio demo. So if you're like wondering where did all of it go,
it'll be back.
It'll be back.
Transition period.
So we're working on that. We're gonna get the studio demo up, and we will also get the EP up. But like we said earlier, for now, if you're looking to listen to the new EP, you can listen to it free on Bandcamp. You just, you know, go to any of our social media and click the link, and boom, there it is, available to be listened to for free or purchase. It's up to you. Otherwise, we will. We do have plans on making a physical copy, though, don't we?
Yes, it's coming. It's been between COVID and, you know, we won't go into the company we're dealing with. Let's just say I've resent many an art file to them. And
yes, many iterations.
The delay is not the actual vinyl discs. The delay is the printing of the cover they go in.
Oh, man.
They keep submitting the wrong artwork. That's happened 3 times.
Oh, rough.
And then I get a email, hey, this is wrong, and you haven't updated it. And then last time it happened because they wanted to charge again. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, I've sent it, and I found the email, and I sent a screenshot to the company, and it's like, there, I sent you the correct file on this date. You have it.
Yeah.
This is not my fault.
I think it's one of the things a lot of people forget about is there's a big runaround that goes along with trying to put out physical copies of things if you don't own your own pressing material of any sort.
And of course, we're doing this in the middle of the COVID and
and on a format that isn't quite so common, the 10-inch.
Yeah, 10-inch vinyl.
Yeah, and I'm not doing too much in the business aspect of putting it on the vinyl. That's more of you guys' running things, but if I'm correct, this is like somewhat of like a worldwide attempt to get this thing done too, because like the companies aren't all just like, it's not just being printed in Iowa or like across the U.S.
We're dealing with a Canadian company, and like our test pressings came from Prague.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, I think that
who knows where they're printing stuff.
Yeah. So that's the one thing I think is pretty crazy about this is you get this little band from Iowa that wants to make a 10-inch vinyl, and all of a sudden it takes people from 3 different countries just to get it into our hands.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And we looked for a lot of companies, because a lot of companies we ran into, and maybe we just should have asked some other people we know instead of just being antisocial and looking on the computer. But like everybody, like the guy who mastered it, he's associated with a company in California, and they turned around, and how much sense does this make? They're like, well, you only want 100, and we'll do 100 discs, but it's 500 covers minimum. What are we supposed to do with 400 extra record jackets?
I don't know.
Like crap like that. And then another one that was very reputable, they just straight up, our minimum is 500 copies. Okay, that's fair. It's right there. That's your policy.
Yep.
We only want 100. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing a lot of people don't think too much about was like, I did see the invoice for this, and I sat down and calculated it all out as to how much each record was cost. And it's not like the record itself is the thing that costs a lot of money. It's like the time and energy it took to like get the thing recorded, and then like do all the testing, and then pay someone to do artwork and all this other stuff. And it's all those little ancillary things that are boosting the cost of what was each album to us. And that's kind of rough. I mean, you can make records relatively cheap-ish, but
You can.
but like you said, once you gotta record it, pay somebody to record it, you gotta get the artwork and pay somebody to do the artwork. And like once you stack all those things in there, it's like this isn't a cheap process.
Yeah, and some people have all that, can do all that in-house. Somebody in the band is a painter, and they can make the covers, and somebody else can do the engineering and mastering, but it's not always the case.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's not that we couldn't do something like that. I've talked about it before on the podcast. I mean, obviously I'm recording us talking, but that's ludicrously different than recording instruments. And what I'm doing is ludicrously different than mixing and mastering an album, and I can do graphic design, but go to the Audible farm page and look at my graphic design. It's not the greatest, it's the artwork is somebody else made for me, so we could have done it, but the effort we could have put forth with just the four of us at the time
And
wouldn't have been,
we never have talked to this, but if we can drop some breaking news, maybe we'll do a song in-house and see what happens.
Ooh, yeah, I'd be down for
And
that.
this isn't an insult to anybody, but part of this too, and you might feel this way, like for this one, this is like the official, like, no, we're spending money on this. This is going to be done well. Having somebody else master it who didn't record it and mix it, I think was really smart.
That same with commissioning the artwork. I like, it's sort of a cross-promotion thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to get Ben Hall's name out. It's nice to get Tanner Saltzman's name out.
Exactly.
It's just everyone's benefiting by, making it a community instead of just keeping this close-knit group of only people you know.
Yeah. We have our house artist, and
That's true.
Here's our engineer, and
I mean, we've been all about like kind of spreading the love around as locally as possible. We've done 2 different local to Des Moines T-shirt pressings from 2 different companies, and we're trying our best to just, like I said, spread the love around, get somebody else to do the artwork for us. I mean, you're an artist, Kelsey's an artist, but why not have somebody else do it? And like you said, sometimes it's better the farther away from like home base you get with this stuff, the better off you're going to be with like the honesty about how it's going to get done. Like, if you were in charge of recording, maybe the drums are louder, or mixing, I'm just, not that that's going to be a thing, but just throwing it out there as an example. If Ben's doing it, Ben Hall at Speed of Sound Studios, he's going to do it the way he thinks sounds best. And like, maybe he wants to mix and master it a certain way, but we could send it to somebody else and let them do it. And
Exactly. There's something good about having someone who's not necessarily into heavy music being on the controls like that, because you kind of get the best of both worlds as far as they kind of get from us what we want to hear as far as making it sound heavy. And, they have their prior knowledge of just making it sound good.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing I think is pretty crazy about Ben was once we started working with him, I started looking through how much stuff he's done, and it's a pretty wide berth of music, to say the least. So he's done a little bit of everything as far as recording wise, and I even did a podcast with him. If anybody wants to scroll back, it's like, I don't have my phone, but it's somewhere in the 50s, episode 50 something, I believe. But it's Ben Hall. That was a good, painless experience. We recorded, I don't know what the style you would say, all at once. Well, like live style.
Yeah,
live to track, basically.
Yep.
Aside from vocal.
Yeah. And I mean, we isolated our amps out and had headphones and the whole 9 yards. We were in the room with the drums. But still, it was...
But our amps weren't, which
Yes.
is probably smart.
Yes. And we, I think it was pretty cool. We ended up... I know at least one song. I can't remember which one it was, but I know at least one song we did a single take, and it was just like, that's the one.
Yeah.
And, it felt very Iron Maiden-y, from like me and Clint growing up listening to Iron Maiden. It was like, what, Moonchild?
Yeah.
That's like one take wonder, live to track style recording, just like we did. And I was like, that's pretty neat that we pulled one of those off, And
even with the other tracks, we'd like get partway through it and I'd like flub a fill and then we'd just stop it.
Yep.
Like, so I think
None of them took more than 3.
I want to say like we'd get through an entire take of a song and I don't think we turned any of them down. Like if we got all the way through the song, we kept it.
Yeah. I recall one song starting out, and I don't know exactly what happened. I can't remember, but it was something to the effect of like my guitar volume wasn't at 0 and John's playing an intro, and I like turned around and it was just like honk, like just right at the beginning of the song, and I was like, no, stop, we need to stop and restart this. I know he could have just muted my line of, but it's still like I was just like, nah, we need to get this perfect from the get go, and that was really fun to record that way. I feel like that way captured a lot of the feeling that we have live, like a lot of the energy that we bring live.
It sounds like us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not that, recording isolated track after isolated track is not a way to make it sound like us, but we also did at one point in time attempt to record this album through a different studio using a metronome isolated track one at a time. And we don't have any like copies of that available because it's not something we bought from somebody. I do have some of the, I guess I would call them like mix downs, but it's a very different feel when we're tagged to a metronome. And it's not that we're all over the place tempo wise anyways. We don't like accordion back and forth in the middle of a song at all, but when you put it all down to a metronome, it ends up being, I feel like, very blocky, and I feel like it robs some of the energy out of what we've got going on.
It doesn't sound natural.
Yeah, it's a completely different set of circumstances doing it to a metronome. Yeah, it does take away a lot of the natural feel.
Yeah.
But it's good to use. I guess our music isn't complicated enough to really necessitate the use of track by track. Like it was good for Metallica to use back in 1983 or whatever.
Yeah, we're just loud and straight ahead.
Yeah, I guess it's good for people that that want to make a recording that isn't necessarily indicative of their, the level of playing style, because you can track by track a recording all you want, make a 13-minute song. Mm-hmm. Piecing it together bit at a time, and then you go and do it live. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I feel like that's why Metallica did a lot of medleys.
Yeah, I could see that. And I mean, like, that's something that, and I'm not trying to put down anybody in Unity, but you can watch Sean write solos piece by piece, and then trying to pull them off in one swoop is very difficult.
It's tough, yeah.
You end one run really high up on the neck, and then the next run starts way down at the other end of the neck, and it's like, man, I should have thought this through when I was thinking about playability. But I mean, the crazy thing is Sean can actually do it, and that's a testament to how ludicrously talented Sean is.
It takes a hell of a lot of focus for sure.
Oh my god, yeah. And I mean, once you get that intricate though too, you got to start using Guitar Pro and slowing things down, and I mean, it takes it to a whole nother level. And it's not that this isn't, complicated music. We're playing, basic chords. We're playing fast tempo. It's not like we're throwing, augmented minor, flatted third, just like ludicrous.
A couple suspended thirds. That's about it.
Not much going on in the crazy chord category, unless you're listening to Sunshine. But I always thought that was something crazy about this though too. Was like when I joined the band, it was like, well, I know how to play all these songs because I sat down and learned them. But it's different getting like tight with the band, like that's like a whole different ball game as being that tight as a band.
Yeah, you can tell who the basement shredders are.
Yeah.
When bring them over to play, and they can rip in front of a camera on their own, but they're kind of a fish out of water when there's another band around them.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize it was that different being around like a group of musicians and playing. I recently talked to somebody who sings, and they were saying that like they don't normally sing around like a band, but like so they do like karaoke style. And they said it's so weird when you put a whole band behind you, and they could just play exactly as the karaoke track would have been, but it's still like weird because it's a different thing. Yeah, it's a different thing. I mean, I'm sure that's no different than like what we're doing in the basement versus like me going to a jam night. When I went to my first jam night, I was like, we're playing this song. I was practicing the tabs all week, or like I was listening to the recording and playing along with it. It's like, well, at a jam night, none of that matters.
Yeah, then they play it in a different key.
Yeah. And that does happen sometimes, at jam nights, actually. People, oh, I know the song. Well, I know it in A. Well, I know it in B. And it's like,
okay,
we're playing it in B flat, I guess. Like, let's be in the middle somewhere, guys. No. I always thought that was some of the funnest things about, like, playing with you guys was, as tight as we ended up getting. We played like almost, 30 or 40 shows the first year I joined the band. And some of those live recordings that are out there, well, we recently took a bunch of them down, but some of those live recordings that are out there are insanely tight sounding, I guess you can find a few of them on the Audible Farm YouTube channel. There's videos, but otherwise, Clint, you've been like recording almost every set we've had with your live recorder, I guess, you've done that for every set you've played in with every band almost,
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And depending on the room and depending on where I place the recorder, the quality varies. And more often than not, get better recordings at like the Lefties and the Muse and like the places that mic all of the instruments, including the drums. Mm-hmm. And that way you can put the recorder on the opposite end of the room and get a good sound. Mm-hmm. Most of the time playing places like Hull and Fremont, it's just you set the recorder up at the front of the stage and hope for the best.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's just all you can hear is my drums, and then everyone else is just very faint in the background. It's really hard to judge a room as to where to place the recording device to get a good sound.
Yeah, especially those venues that don't like mic up the entire thing or don't have like a soundboard or, and like Hull has one. They've got, a soundboard, and you could mic everything up there. I've seen people do it.
Mm-hmm.
It would take a lot, but it's
they're
possible.
not going to help you. You're doing it on your own.
Yeah. And like Fremont, same deal. You might have to bring a little bit of your own gear
I don't know,
to pull it off.
That little thing they got.
But
it works. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But like you said, Clint, there's a big difference between going to a place like that and the sound you're going to pull out of the room, or like Lefties or vaudeville, the best part about going to those places is it's like, sounds good. Like I don't have to do a damn thing. I just turn on my guitar and they do all the rest. And it's pretty nice. I've always enjoyed going to shows like that. But there is something I also enjoy about the live sound, like stage sound only, kind of deal.
A lot of people can become dependent on a sound guy having a nice sound setup.
Yeah.
And like if you put a dude who uses triggers all over their drums in the Fremont, they're going to be shit out of luck.
Yeah.
So I've saw a guy playing once at Hull, but they're not mic'd. And the band, the lead guitar player, he was shredding and tapping, couldn't hear a note because they didn't have it right.
Oh.
You could tell the guy was just wailing, but you couldn't hear him.
Yeah, it's kind of the thing on show day. Sometimes you get too excited,
Yeah.
like you skip the most important step. You just want to get to playing.
Make sure you can hear everything.
Yep. I've talked about that with other people too on the podcast. Like, forgot to tune my guitar. And it's like, you get halfway through the first song, and you're like, oh, my bad. Like,
yeah.
Sorry about that.
Play the first note and my snare's off. Tonk.
We've actually like gone through and talked about a few of those things, like live stage sound and making it as good as possible, I guess. Because if you're sitting on the left side of the stage at a place like Hull, you might not be able to hear like anything that's going on the right side of the stage. For a while, we were circumventing that with extra speakers. We would do the whole like split a cabinet behind Clint and almost stereo-ish our sound off to help out a little bit. And the older I get, I'm saying that as the youngest person in the room right now, the older I get, the less I want to drag gear around. And I'm saying that in front of a guy who has a 47-piece drum set. So I don't know. Like, I just kind of got tired of dragging gear around and stuff to shows. Plus, like, depending on the place where you'd go, like, I recall going to a few places with sound guys, and they were just like, what the hell are you doing dragging all this shit everywhere? And it's like, this is the stuff I want to use. And they're like, well, we're not micing that thing. It's like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's whatever, I guess. But I have had one or two sound guys be like, what is this nonsense?
What
Yeah. And I get it. Like, there's a big turn recently to lower stage sound as much as possible, so that way it only comes out, front of house, like through the front stage speakers. But we're coming right back to that's not always a luxury we have available to us in the places we play.
Can't turn them drums down on the stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that works for the kind of bands that don't require rockin' drums.
That's true, though. I do have to say, though, like, having been, I have played before you joined Unity was almost all digital. Like
Yes.
we would go do practices, the drums were triggered, everything was digital, sent to in-ear monitors, the whole 9 yards. So I have like dipped my toe in that and seen what that's all about. And that takes a lot of setup time first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
Like it takes a lot of knowledge to know how to do all of it. Secondly, I mean, you could just keep going down the list of the difficulties that are involved with getting it done. So it's nothing to like, you know, turn your nose up at or be like, oh, these people that are doing digital in-ear, no, you know, stage sound type stuff. It's not that it's bad. It's just different. It's a different thing, you know. It's completely different. You being a drummer, I could obviously see where your quorum might be the fact that it doesn't sound as true to the drums. I think the drums are, as far as digital, are probably the thing that are the farthest behind.
It's the final frontier. Like they're making good headway on it, but they're still nowhere close to doing like 1-to-1, getting all of the subtleties and the intricacies. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a while.
Yeah, I mean, I can just imagine as far as like hitting ghost notes and things like that on
Exactly.
a trigger. They're not all always there.
Like even with triggers, you have to like program the ghost notes basically.
Oh my god,
So
it takes so much time.
It's so much work just to get it to sound almost real.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the day they didn't even have dynamics. It was just like you hit this thing and one sound came out of it. Now that at least they have some dynamics to the drums and things like that.
Yeah, and it's like a mesh pad, so you got the rebound. It's not just a rubber thing you to whack with a stick.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, I guess the other thing I think about is if you got something and it works, go with it. You know, if that's the only drum set you have, well, I'm sure you could.
You know, if you live in an apartment, that's the only choice you got.
Yeah, and beautiful choice you have. Just run it. You know, it's more compact. You'd be able to bring that to shows too, and just plug it in just as much as anything else. You know, so I mean, if that's what you have and that's the only thing you have to use, we're not turning our nose up at it by any means.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm speaking completely as a like traditionalist. You know.
20
keeper
years.
of the flame, sort of doing the shit that nobody wants to do anymore because technology and stuff.
Yeah. Plus, you know, 20-year plus drummer or whatever. I guess you could say you're about a 20-year drummer on the scene now. So
Shit. I think it was beginning of 2000 that Mr. Miller taught us all how to play the drum set.
yeah, I wish I would have learned how to play the drums. John, do you play drums at all? I mean,
I can do like a real quick 4/4 hip hop breakbeat.
sounds good. You're
That's
hired.
about it.
You're hired for my new project. You're hired, Clint. You're out.
I need more regular access to a drum kit because when I have a drum kit that I can play with like twice a week, I get better. But
That's
obviously, but
dude, that was something that was crazy because like there's a drum set here, and I bought it, and I first started like. I just put songs on headphones and play along to them regardless how good I was. And it was pretty wild how good I got, how fast I got. But then, like, when I didn't play, it was pretty startling how crappy I got, how fast. You know, it went away at least as fast as it came on, you know. How do you, I mean, I haven't talked to too many drummers, but I've always been kind of mind blown by it. Like, how did you figure all this stuff out? Or was it, when you first sat down with Tim Miller, was it like, dude, I'm killing this? Or was it like, oh, I don't have no clue what's going on.
With Tim, he just kind of sat us down and showed us the rock beat and showed us the swing beat and kind of just didn't really give us a whole lot. Showed us what a fill was and the concept of what a fill was and, you know, the right place to put a fill and what to do with it.
Yeah.
And not really much else direction after that. He kind of just let us do our own thing. And I had already been into music, you know, old school rock and roll and stuff. So I just kind of took to it.
Yeah.
And figured out that a lot of the practice you can do it in your mind, just going through songs, just, you know, flexing that song memory muscle, I guess. And another one is just tapping your feet, tapping your hands, and just getting the sequence down in your head. And then when you get down on the drum set, that's when you can actually like build all of the muscles it takes to do the thing.
Yes.
But yeah, a lot of it is mind work.
I'm saying this as a person sitting in a room with Clint that has a concrete floor. Like, I've been hearing it like most of the podcast. It's something that never leaves you. You're always kind of like doing the drumming and on the top of your knees and things like that. It's been, we've hung out a lot in our lives, and that's been something, like I'd say, ever since we graduated high school. It's been something you've been doing a lot of, is the odd, like, drumming on your own. Like, you'll do it in the passenger seat of a car and stuff. And it's pretty awesome. I wish I knew how to play the drums. I wish it was easier to just, like, osmosis your information into my brain. But unfortunately, it takes practice. And that's what we're getting to here. You guys also, as far as music-wise, you guys also spend your time playing guitar and drums in the sleepover as well, not just the Three Finger Betty camp. So you guys recently had an album come out with sleepover this year, I think it was, earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken. If not, it was late last year.
I want to say it was like May or something like that.
Okay. But that'd be Pajamas in Public. John, were you on that album at all, or?
I wasn't in the band yet. I do play one guitar solo on the album, though.
All right.
For Why People Die.
Is that like how you ended up getting your foot in the door, I guess?
Maybe, but I don't know for sure. And then it came along that Emery said something about looking for another guitar player, and initially I said no, because I don't have the time for this. But then as far as shit kickers go, Jeff went back to college, and Kale's got his own business and his full-time job and all that. So I'm like, I kind of talked to them, and I'm like, well, if that slows way down, yeah, I can do this. And then it looked like I had time to do it, so I did it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's not having time to be in a band that you want to be in is a tough place to be. I had somebody recently ask me to swing over to their house and play some guitar with them and play some like metal kind of stuff with them, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be so cool. Unity doesn't play very many shows, if at all, anymore, and I'm kind of got that metal itch, so let's swing that direction and see what goes on. And it's not like I'm in a million bands, but like I do the jam night thing. I'm going to school. I got your guys', the Three Finger Betty thing. I started playing bass a little bit in another guy's band, and it's just, I don't know if I got the time, man. Yeah. And it sucks. It really sucks, because I really wanted to hit this guy up and play guitar with somebody new. And
if I had time, I'd be in 4.5 bands or something like that.
Yeah. And I mean, oh God, I wish I had the time. And I feel bad not being able to do it too, especially like sort of being like, I want to do this. Let's try and make this happen. And then all of a sudden it's just like, well, it's been like 3 or 4 weeks and I've had to cancel plans. Like,
yeah, you just can't.
I just can't. I'm sorry. And it sucks. And Clint, I'm sure you've gone through that too, playing drums in 476 bands over the last 10 years or so. And even doing one-off shows with bands, which I think is wild, being a drummer that does one-off shows. I mean, it's probably, it's not that, like, it's, I don't know. Drummers are a weird beast, because it's not like you have to learn note for note things and things like that, but you still have to learn structure and rhythms and patterns.
I guess it depends on the nature of the set that I'm doing a one-off for. Like doing 90 minutes for, what's his ass? Dude from Italy who lives in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah, the David Reese thing. Yeah,
doing an hour and a half one-off show for that for free.
Yeah.
That's entirely different than doing 25 minutes with the Silverbacks.
Yeah. Oh, true. Very true. Yeah. Oh man, that was a wild thing too. To first off get invited to play with David Reese, who sang for Accept and Bangalore Choir. Getting invited to do that, and then realizing, like, after spending months of practice time, it's like, oh, this might not happen,
Yeah, logistically, it's not really looking feasible.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and I mean, he even had travel issues, which was a rough deal, and we ended up playing that festival with Unity anyways, and it was a great festival, good fun time, and, I'm not against playing with David Reese. I would love to get the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, it's some cool material.
Yeah, it was tons of fun. That was the other thing, like, hearkening back to Sean Jovi, having him, he's been one of the people that's helped me get my chops up as far as being a metal guitarist. He's always sending me stuff, and unfortunately my computer updated and I can't use Guitar Pro 5 anymore, like I can't go through that, and that's usually what he uses, so it's unfortunate, but it's fortunate, and it's crazy that you can go out there and be in that many different bands. Do you think that, Like, did Emery ask you specifically, or did you and Emery sit down and be like, we should bring in John for a solo on this, or like, how did that all go down when it came time for you to actually be recorded on that song?
I feel like Emery just approached John. I don't think he.
Yeah. I don't know if somebody twisted his arm, but yeah, I think one day he's like, "Hey, would you come in and drop a solo on this?"
Oh, cool.
I'm like, "Okay, yeah."
That's awesome.
And Ben, Speed of Sound, he recorded that album, so I just showed up at his house. That's the first time I think I met him.
Oh, cool.
And we ripped it, and I was like, "Do you like that?" Emery liked it, and Pitten's like, "You want to do it again?" And I'm like, "Do you like it?" I'm like, "Yeah." No, we don't need to do it again.
Yeah, that is also one of the fun.
Spend more, you spend more time getting there and setting your stuff up. You play 10, 15 seconds. Okay, bye.
Yeah, that is the funniest thing ever too. You're showing up to play a solo on one song on an album, so it's like, I mean, at longest, this is like 30 seconds worth of playing, and if you do it once, it's like, well, we're done. Like, we did it.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Is to build up the chops to the point where, you set up for 4 hours and then bang it out in 30 minutes.
Yeah,
that's true.
Like when we recorded it, that's, like I said, nothing took more than 3.
Exactly. Yeah. Like we had the 6 songs done, like that, like
it's all
easily within an hour.
Yeah, and I mean, that is the preparation meets opportunity kind of deal where, like, I'm not trying to be like, hey, but we've played enough empty-ish venues on Tuesday early shows, and that's just practice for when it comes time to sit in the studio, and when it came time, we could hammer it out, you know. And like I said, some of that comes down to the fact that we've played so many of those shows with 10 or 20 or less people in the crowd on a random weird
those weird Wednesday nights.
Yeah, I mean, but there was a while there where we wouldn't take no.
We didn't say no.
Yeah, if it was just like, you want to play, yeah, sure, we'll play that show. It's like, when is it? It's like, well, you'll be in the 5:30 slot, like I said, on Wednesday when people aren't even off work yet. It's like, don't care, we'll play. Whoever's downtown will come watch us, and when they do, that's it. It's good enough, cool. And we'd play with touring bands, and we'd play with local acts, and it didn't really matter. We just kind of just play wherever we could. And I feel like while we were going through some of those old live recordings that we had, I was like, God dang, we were so tight back then. Not that we're not now, but it was just like,
we were faster at the time, which is kind of funny. We've slowed down.
Yeah,
which we're getting old.
Well, I mean, that also comes back to, like, if we're practicing once a week and then playing at least a show a week,
a month.
Yeah,
back when it was 3 a month minimum.
Yeah, we're playing like 3 shows a month, and it's, you just eventually get super tight at playing stuff. It's like, well, there's the only way to you can't get any tighter. Let's just get faster, Like, so that's pretty much what it was too. Some of those shows we were listening to, though, like, we did notice, like, if the heavier and faster the bands that was like the headliner, the heavier and faster we would play. And it's it's not like that big of a difference from one set to the next, but it was still noticeable to us, but listening to stuff back to back.
Usually, depending, like, if we're gonna play with Night Demon, or when we played with Bewitcher, I'm like these guys are heavy.
Yeah,
it's fast and loud, and they're tight and technical. It's like, we got to put, like, the really fast, heavy stuff on this set list just to keep up. Mm-hmm. You can't go play Kent the Creeper opening for Bewitcher. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna play Caught the Dragon.
Yeah. Here's Sunshine.
Sunshine, yes. We're gonna open it and close it with Sunshine. No, I think that's so. As far as, like, playing with bands like that, I think it's pretty cool that we can actually, like, fit in with, like, the punkier punk, or, like, the heavier stuff that's leaning on, like, some of them, more metal-y metal.
Some of my favorite experiences, not because we had a huge crowd at the club or whatever, is when we're on a bill with it's happened a few times. We've been on a bill with some metal bands who, like, Three Finger Benny, what are they? Oh, they're a punk. Oh, they must suck. You guys play this. You play, they want us to play when they want us to play and stuff. And it's just like, you can just tell they're like, you guys, they're just going to be terrible.
Yep.
And then halfway through the set, everybody in that band is just watching.
Yeah, they're just all huddling up, talking with each other, trying to discuss how they're going to follow this.
They're better than we thought they would be.
Yeah. I mean, that's some of the downside of categorizing us as punk, though. Because I mean, like,
maybe.
a lot of people think about punk from an outset, and they're like, these guys
Yeah.
suck. They're playing three
kind
chords.
of does imply a lack of ability.
I've
Yes.
never understood that because, a lot of people, you say the word punk, they assume you can't play.
Yes.
Go listen to some Bad Religion albums.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's different
You
styles
know.
of punk, though, too. Like,
True.
and I'm not trying to crap on any bands because people like everything, and I get it. But, like, the Ramones,
Yeah.
like, three chords. It's like...
Yeah, it's a rock and roll band.
Yeah. They're not really... Like, the Ramones and Bad Religion are two completely different styles of punk.
Very true.
You know? But they come from two different eras, and you could say that about a lot of punk, you know? Like, we're more Offspring punk, you know?
Yeah.
We're not... I mean, I'm not trying to say that's
and
what...
if you really want to get into it, there's cow punk if you like country music, but you just play it loud and fast. You're going to get into all that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pop punk, old school punk,
Yeah, and there's so many different
gutter
styles.
punk, hardcore.
And oh god, hardcore. Hardcore shows are some of the craziest. That's one of the funniest things is seeing people in the crowd while you're playing and watching them go nuts. And it's just like, oh my god, these people are going crazy. And we've been at shows with some hardcore bands and watched people just moshing their brains out at shows. And it's like, this is insane. You ever think you were going to see somebody moshing to some of your songs that you were writing?
To be honest, I'm surprised it took as long as it did. There's a couple of them like get up.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, and then you in your brain, as you know, it's like, well, they're not moshing because they think we suck.
bingo, yeah. They must hate this. Of
They
course
don't like
hate
this. They're waiting for us to get out of here. But no, it's happened enough now that okay, we've had enough mosh pits. I'm happy now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
All
did-
without the use of the skank beat.
yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple drum beats that are just indicative of that.
But there's been some where, like, I couldn't believe a pit didn't break out.
Yeah.
Let's give Jeff Furch a little shout out here. Jeff was the bassist in Three Finger Betty through the entirety of me being in the band. Clint,
Same here, yeah.
Clint as well.
When we started, we didn't have a bassist, so he was the original bassist.
Oh really? Mm-hmm. Oh dang! So it's even a little bit more painful to know that he's gonna scoot out of here. I'm gonna miss him, that's for sure. He's just got his.
It's not like we're never going to see him again.
No, he's got life stuff going on, which honestly, like, life stuff is life stuff, and what we're doing is runaway hobby stuff. So like, I get it. You got to take care of life stuff first. You got to do that. Especially if you got. He's definitely, out of the three of us, has the most demanding job time-wise.
Yes.
He spends the most time working. So I get it. I get where he's coming from. I get some of the concerns that are going down. It sucks. Like, it's nice to have him around. I always bend his ear about, like, my guitar tone, or like, I'm working on a guitar. How do I fix this thing? Or like,
If anything didn't work, he just fixed it.
yeah, and never
Oh
once
crap!
asked.
I forgot this chord. Oh, I got 3 of them in my bag here.
Yeah, he always was prepared. That was like one of my favorite things. It sucks because I think I'm gonna have to carry the baton on that one. Just means I'm gonna have to drag a little bit more junk to the shows, but I'm all right with that. Like, it was nice to have somebody there, like you said, that always had like an extra XLR cable or something like that. Or if you wanted something weird, he also had that. It's like, I want an XLR to 1/4-inch input so I can play harmonica through a microphone into a tube amp, and he's just like, I got it. Like, I got 2. How many you need? Like,
Yeah, it's like, you can't hear you singing. Oh, give me a second. Oh, here's a real cheap tube preamp.
Preamp.
Just go through that.
yep, and it'll make your voice clear. And it's nice to have people around that know that kind of stuff, because it's not like we're not technically, advanced people. I mean, I've obviously got a computer within eyeshot of anybody watching the video of this, but like, I can fix guitars and stuff. But it's so nice to have somebody else to bounce the ideas off of, and I'm still gonna bounce ideas off
Oh,
of
yeah.
him. So you can't avoid that one.
No,
but.
no, we have his number. We can still text him.
Yes. But huge shout out to Jeff. He was always one of those behind the scenes, corner of the stage in the dimly lit area kind of guys that didn't want to stand out
Yeah.
and be noticed. But he was always like one of the more important behind the scenes.
He liked to hide.
Yeah. Like,
He loved playing in basements so he could hide behind a support team.
We played that one show in Minneapolis. And,
That's what he did.
yeah, I mean, he was like behind the water cooler most of that show. That was tons of fun. But yeah, I mean, I just got to give a shout out to Jeff. Definitely before we get to the end of this episode, because it's kind of weird, like joining a band. You don't think you're gonna like meet anybody, and I hadn't met Jeff. I'd met you at pro wrestling shows, John. So I knew who you were a little bit, but I'd never met Jeff before. Then, you end up buddying up with somebody that's like, I met this person through music, which is pretty wild, and they ended up becoming one of my buddies. As far as in the grand scheme of things, the older you get, the harder it is to make new friends and things like that. And it's kind of cool that I made a friend through music, and it's becoming a little bit more common these days for me to do. Once you get in the scene, it's a little easier to make some friends, but it's also kind of weird in the music scene. You don't always get along with everyone there either.
But it's nice to meet friends, and it's not like maybe you meet somebody where every weekend, what are you doing? Let's do it. But then you run into them in town. It's, hey, what's up?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at least becoming familiar with the other people that are out there and about, and I'm sure, everybody knows Clint by this time. Like I said, he was in Dark Mirror for almost 10 years and doing the Betty thing for almost 5 years now, and many other bands around the Midwest since, and in between those times. So it's pretty cool to be able to meet people like that. So shout out Jeff. I don't know if you're listening to this episode. I hope you are, since you're the only one in the band that's not on this.
Not here.
But I asked him a few different times to sit down and do a podcast with me, and he politely declined, as seems to be the case for most bassists, and I don't know why.
I'm amazed we ever got a picture of him.
That's true. Oh, man.
And I think the only reason we did is because we just took him when he wasn't looking.
True. Yeah, he would definitely hide if he had the choice. He was always the guy wearing we're playing a Christmas or a holiday show, and he's got like a Rudolph hat on or something with like lights. He was always just such a goofball about everything, and I loved it. Definitely didn't take himself too seriously, which is one of the other favorite things about hanging out with him. Because, I mean, we do take what we're doing seriously, but we're not like, dude, we're the greatest band in Des Moines, and everybody needs to stand up and take notice. It's not really, no. No, we're good, and we have a great time doing what we're doing. And
What are you doing here? You didn't buy any merch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Buy our merch. Buy my book. Buy my book. Speaking of buying things, the EP, I'll say it again, is available for purchase at threefingerbetty.bandcamp.com.
Physical copies, it's got to be 2-3 weeks.
Yeah,
it
I mean,
can't be any longer.
Once again, that's the worst part about this, is being like, you have such an indirect relationship to everything that's going on because you're going through somebody else who's talking to all the people.
And I'm doing this through emails.
Yeah, and so it's like, man, I'm so far away from where the actual work is getting done, and I can't actually be 100% specific as to when this is going to come out.
Probably going to have to do that differently next time.
That's true. I mean, some of this, like, every album can be a different adventure as to who we can record with somebody else next time, or, we can...
Hopefully there's like a local option for 10-inch vinyls. Hint, local Des Moines people.
We should have dug deeper, and we dug pretty deep.
Yeah, but I also think it's weird that, like, we're in Des Moines, based out of Des Moines, and there's, like, a lot of resources available to musicians there, but it also feels like there's a giant lack of certain resources there for musicians,
Yeah.
And what comes back to I get it. Like, if you were to open up your own vinyl pressing place in Des Moines, how much money would you really make?
Yeah.
I get it, but like at the same rate, like, side job for somebody,
and maybe somebody's doing it. We just don't know them.
That could very well be too, because I mean, that's the other thing, is
there's Des Moines bands got records out. Somebody had to press them.
Just makes me wonder if we play the wrong type of music, or we got the wrong type of name.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And I mean, there could be some of that too, though. Like, nepotism does play a factor in certain things. As far as knowing the right people, having the right name or the right look, or a certain type of sound that people are
being
looking
marketable,
for.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's all those different things that come into play a little bit, but at the same rate, like, I don't really feel like there's a very high quantity of people in Iowa supporting music as much as, maybe give some other places. I'm not trying to say it doesn't happen, but like, even supporting music like we all do, we were discussing this earlier, where we put our new EP on Bandcamp, and I went through and was looking at like past sales and stuff, and found out that Christian Day had bought most of our catalog from our Bandcamp, and I was like, Christian Day runs the Iowa Basement tapes, and so I was like, well, that's pretty cool. He's got this radio show, kind of like what I'm doing, but he plays songs from Iowa bands from like the 70s until now. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah,
He's got he is the biggest catalog of local music I've ever seen. So he'll play stuff, and I was like, well, if he bought stuff from our Bandcamp, there's probably a good chance he played it. And so I hunted it down and found it, and it was like, this was just last year. How come I didn't know that this existed, So, like, there can be something that's happening, like, even in our own town, and we don't even know it's happening, and it involves us.
Yeah.
So, like, that's kind of the weird thing about the music scene is it's very not tied together well, I think. There's not much...
Yeah, there's nothing in the realm of, like, talent representation. Like, everyone has to hype themselves.
Yeah.
So if someone's got an inferiority complex, sorry, Jack.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was some of the best part about using the Three Finger Betty Facebook page was like, we would promote other bands because it's like, I don't give a shit. Like, we're not playing this weekend. Like, go watch
see
the
these
Eleanors.
guys. They're cool.
Yeah, go see the Sleepover play. I mean, we share a couple members with them, but, and that was something that we would use our page to promote not just our stuff, but our friends' stuff. And I think there needs to be a lot more of that going on as far as... in the punk scene, it's starting to build a little bit, I feel like, in Des Moines.
We got, since releasing the album, we've got to give a shout out to all the people that shared it for us.
Oh my gosh,
Morbo and Greg from Up the Monks did it.
Yep. If my phone is currently being used to record this, otherwise I would look it up and tell you everybody that shared it.
A lot of people did, which was very appreciated, very nice.
Yeah, I mean, people were sharing it to groups and to their own pages, and really appreciate that. It's this is the first go around for me. I've never released anything. I've never been on a recording. I wasn't on the studio demo. I joined after that, so like. I mean, this is the first time I've ever even been recorded on anything and had my name tied to anything.
You have a permanent record now.
Oh, man. For now, forever and ever, if people go online and search my name, they're going to find Three Finger Betty stuff. No.
Mm-hmm.
No, and
it's going to cost you a job someday.
Oh, probably will. Might have already done it. No. The things that cost people jobs are insane. I've actually talked to a lot of people about that kind of stuff, having recently gone back to school and discussing it with people. Pretty weird stuff. We'll let it go though.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a little bit of support that's kind of starting to build in the Des Moines scene for the punk people. I feel like, I'm not trying to say like the podcast is doing it. I feel like a lot of people are grassroots finally just starting to do it themselves. People are enjoying being around other people. I mean, heck, our shows are even being attended by more people from other bands when they don't have shows going on. I mean, some of that might also be like people missing live music, and it's just like, well, if you couldn't go out last weekend, go out this weekend and see these guys, and if you couldn't go out this weekend, go out next weekend to see them. It could be a lot of people just saying there are opportunities to go watch live music.
Yep,
it's always nice to see people we've never met before at a show.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That's a thing at shows. Is it's always the same people. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, not that there's anything.
It's just
wrong
nice to see more.
It's hard to get. Yeah, and now with fucking plague and paranoia with that, it's gonna be hard to get people to come out unless they already know you or your friends.
Well, yeah.
Because a couple of our regulars won't come to shows right now.
That's true. And, I mean, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
They got to do whatever they're going to do. But I also think there's, like a weird thing. God, I was going to go somewhere with this, and I forgot where I was going with it.
But no, there's been a little groundswell. Like, if we start naming names, there's us, there's Americature, there's the Eleanors.
Yeah.
Kobe Murray's still trying to keep something alive.
Yeah, and I mean the scene's not like huge. I get it, and I also get like, punk and or rock and roll style music isn't for everybody, especially in today's day and age where everyone just wants to play Call of Duty and listen to beat boop music. But
there is a weird like generation gap. Like there's the 40-ish year olds that have punk bands in Des Moines, and then like the 20-ish year old bands. Mm-hmm. There's nothing in the middle there.
No.
I'm guessing the younger ones had cool parents who listened to all the old school punk bands.
That could be.
And that's where they got it. Maybe.
I was actually
Like seeing the Astro Bastards play a Dead Milkman song. Like that song was recorded 15 years before any of you were born.
yeah, true. Yeah, but I do have to go back to saying thanks once again to Christian Day for playing our tunes on
Totally.
Iowa Basement Tapes. I hugely appreciate you playing our tunes on your show last year.
Just tell us next time.
We just figured it out now, but the crazy thing about that was I've listened to a couple episodes of his show and was like, this is a cool show. And then I sent you a link to one of them from I think last week or the week before. I just started plowing through all of his episodes and I was like, dude, this is a really, really good show. The quality of music on there is really good and things like that. So if you guys are looking for something else, I'd highly suggest checking that out. You probably might have the ability to hear somebody you might know, because I haven't looked at anyone else other than us, but I almost assume there's a lot of people we know that have been on that show as well.
Well, if he goes back, as far back as he goes, there were a lot of cool bands when I was 20, 22 in the 90s that he might have some stuff on that don't exist anymore.
I almost guarantee it. I'll after we wrap this up, I'll show you like where to find out all this stuff. I can show you like I found his blog, and then you can just search his blog for band names, and it'll show them all there. So it's pretty awesome. I do also want to, while we're here, I do want to call a few people out for like. There's been a lot of people lately saying like we need to support local because of obviously the plague. But there's also the whole like I want to go to live music people, and some of those people are the same people, and they don't go to live music shows that are local live music shows. So I think it's really weird that people like want to support local and want to watch live music but aren't willing to go to a local live music show. And is there like any irony in that online? Because I have actually called a few people out for it, and they are usually not too happy about it. And I get it, but like, I mean, you don't have to go to my show. Go to someone else's show. Go see Riddled with Class. Go see any of the bands up here in the local area.
If you don't like loud music, go to a coffee house and watch somebody play folk music.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I go to jam nights and play leads on folk stuff. So like, I'm totally cool with anything. Just go watch something. I don't know. But I just think that's kind of weird. There's a lot of that going on these days. But that just seems to be the way the internet's going. A lot of people are, throwing blame and shade at everyone else for problems that are in their life.
That's how social media works.
This is very true.
We got to realize this is a very vocal minority on social media.
Yeah.
That's true. That's very true. I forget that a lot, though. And that's one of the things that disheartens me and makes me get off social media every now and then. But like we come back to being in a band, it's almost a necessary evil. If we never posted anything online, who would know our stuff's on Bandcamp?
Nobody would know it existed.
Exactly.
There's a balance.
And the reason for that is because like the flyer game is almost dead these days. Like
that's sad, because flyers can be really cool.
Yes. I was discussing it. I wasn't discussing it. I found somebody asking about flyers on Facebook, and I know a few people that still do hang flyers, and I see them very often. So like they exist, people still use them, but like as we were discussing on this Facebook post, it was pretty much just like your options are like laundromats, gas stations, like places where people are a lot, like, and those are maybe your only options these days. Like there's not really like, you can't flyer cars or stick them in a parking lot.
There's only a handful of like music stores in the town.
Yes.
Because I still do flyers, but I've backed off. I probably do 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. Take them to the record stores and the music stores. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can put them up at Hy-Vee. They always have a community board, or Casey's, but I don't know.
Ooh, speaking of flyers, we're gonna bring up the Iowa Basement Tapes again. Christian,
you're getting a kickback, right?
Yeah, I'm actually getting paid for all this promo. Now, Christian talked with Travis Atkinson, who I've talked to on the podcast before, but they were discussing doing flyers in like the 90s and 2000s. So, like, if you guys are wondering about like what it was like 10, 15, 20 years ago to hang flyers.
You had to cover the last person's band one up.
Pretty much.
It was fierce.
They were everywhere, and people did a lot of it, to the tune where people would drive to other towns and hang up flyers in other towns, because it's like, you need to come see this in the next town over,
The utility poles still have, all the staples in them.
Yep.
From 20 years ago.
That was a big deal in Fort Dodge. There was a couple of them where very frequently have signs hung on them, and
When I was in college in Iowa City in the Ped Mall, and they're still there, I think
Yep.
people still use them, they had these big, tall blocks spread out all around it, and that's what they were for.
Yeah.
Hey, this is tonight. This is this
Yep,
weekend.
They're still up in Ames, too.
Yep, they're still in Iowa City. When we played our show in Iowa City, I drove down there a few weekends before and plastered that place with signs. But that's also a weird thing, though. Like venues won't even hang signs. Like,
Yeah.
they won't even hang a sign for a thing that's going to be at their own venue, or, I mean,
They'll put you on a marquee, which is great. Or, Yacht Club had a nice poster / digital thing on their window.
I mean that's
So-
and that's cool. And it's not like every place. It's not like we're just like, oh, everybody's bad at doing this. But like, I do recall playing shows and going to the venue with flyers and being like, here's flyers, and having specific flyers printed up to hang in the front of a window, not just like some piece of paper we photocopied.
Yeah.
And being like, here's this for you to hang up, never gets hang up, and it's like, this is rough when I drove like a long ways out of my way to do this, and that was like one of the first times I realized the painstaking process that goes along with hanging flyers was that trip to Iowa City, where it was like, I'm gonna hit up every music store, every pawn shop, like all the gas stations I can, and I hit up like everywhere. I went to the Ped Mall and just plastered everything in the Ped Mall. By the time we went there for our show, nothing was still up, and it's like, man, this is rough. This is really rough.
Yeah.
But it's kind of how it goes, though. You just have to keep grinding, and that's one of the reasons, I guess, as far as with the podcast, I'm such a big fan of stickers. A little bit harder to tear a sticker down, I guess,
Yeah, you pretty much have to keep doing your thing and hope that eventually people will get bored of DJs and electronic crap and want to go back to where it all began.
Yeah. That's sad, though. I guarantee you there's been a dip in sales of instruments like that. And, I mean, I did see that sales were up during COVID. I don't know, that could be. Maybe people are bored. And
People are bored and they ordered a cheap guitar online.
Yep, exactly.
Correct.
We need more people learning instruments.
Yeah.
We just need more talent in the pool.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. You got a band, you guys want to play a show with a punk rockin' band, and you guys want to open up the show, like, hit us up. We'll play with you. I mean,
To this day, it's never happened. I would love to play with a hip hop artist.
oh, yeah.
I think that'd be cool as hell.
Yeah, find a way to mix the show up like that. That would be really cool. I wonder if there'd be a way for us to bridge the gap with a hip-hop artist, like bring us all together and do something together,
Yeah.
like collaborative or something for the next album
great.
or whatever. That would be pretty sweet.
Have a breakdown where somebody freestyles.
Oh, God, that would be so awesome.
Make some sort of Anthrax Public Enemy sort of song.
Dude, I'm game. I do actually know a few. I know a guy who knows a bunch of rappers in the state. Maybe we'll put out an all points bulletin
Get a
for this
rapper.
one. Oh man, Coleman McAllister, if you're listening, hit up some buddies. Send them our
Call
way.
me.
Otherwise, you're in. So we need to get this done.
But yeah, if anybody's you want to play with us, if you can hit any of us up directly, do it. Message us on Facebook.
Here's another idea I've had that I absolutely love, that I feel like we would be perfect to pull this one off, and it would be anybody want to do any covers? Like, I want to cover local band songs more than anything in the
Yeah.
world. So like, if there's anybody that ever wants to do a Three Finger Betty cover, hit us up.
Yep.
We'll send you all the info. You can turn it into whatever you want to turn it into, and trade us a song. Because I think it'd be super cool to just start covering local acts.
This keeps
songs.
getting talked about after shows and parking lots.
Yeah.
Some kind of local we cover each other thing.
Yeah.
I think we can will this into existence.
Yeah, and I mean, Cheyenne from the Eleanors was talking about.
Yeah.
She has the idea of trying to make like an EP of some sort,
Yeah.
or like a little mixed, like a 6 or 7 song mixtape where a handful of bands cover each other's tunes. And
Yeah.
I'm game for that too.
That's kind of what started this in my head, because then Kobe hit me up out of nowhere and I want this song, and I'm like, okay, then give me that song.
Yeah.
Which
I mean-
I haven't spent any time arranging the song he sent me, but
Yeah, but you're married with a kid, so you got stuff going on. You got excuses, and they're actually viable. Not like me, where I'm just like, I'm busy, and it's like,
Ooh, Seinfeld marathon.
Yeah, you guys came over and I was watching Seinfeld, and it's Thursday afternoon. It's not like barely even afternoon. Yeah, I'm a very busy person. No, I do gotta say shout out to you guys for driving up here to be on the podcast. You guys know I would have driven down, but we do have some other business to take care of as far as the Betty stuff goes. So we're gonna iron some of that out after this episode. We have talked about most everything I've got on here. We got the new album coming out. It's got 6 songs on it, self-titled EP. It's available for purchase and listening right now on Bandcamp, threefingerbetty.bandcamp.com. More places coming soon. As far as I know, we're going to go the distribution route that will allow us to put it on everything. So, like, you should be able to be in China on Chinese social media listening to this.
Use our songs in your Instagram videos.
Yes.
Yep.
Make TikTok dances to all the good stuff. I don't even know. I would love to see somebody pick one of our songs and do something goofy with it. But there's plenty of goofy stuff that could be done with plenty of the songs. Let's just say that. Actually, I did go through and uploaded the lyrics to the EP on the Bandcamp page as well, so you can go to the Bandcamp page and find the lyrics to the songs on there. So if anybody wants the lyrics, I know that I want to say Morbo was hitting us up about the lyrics. He was like, "We need the lyrics." I'm like, "All right, well, we'll put them up there." We'll get there. So we got those up there. Jeffy's gone, unfortunately, so we are looking for a bassist, but we are also trying out some bassists.
Yeah, we got an audition, but, you know. If
nothing nailed down yet.
Yeah. I mean, we got an audition. There's another person that said they wouldn't mind auditioning, and they're learning our material. So if you guys want in on this, you play bass, even if you play guitar and you want to do bass in a band or something, if you are reliable and you will show up to shows, and you won't just like yell at everything about everybody about all this nonsense, because we're pretty even keel, easygoing guys. So
we're not anti drinks or anything, but don't be drooling on yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Do whatever you want, but keep your composure a little bit.
And have good equipment.
Yeah,
please.
That's preferred. Yes.
Yeah, have some decent gear.
Yeah, I mean, I'll loan you semi-okay gear. It's not decent or great, but I can loan you okay gear if you at least have a car, like, are responsible enough to get places on time. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, I miss Jeff already. The next thing I wanted to be like, well, we're gonna record something here. We got so much more material to record. Now we need a new bassist, unfortunately. So there will be new music coming, but
I don't think it'll take too long to get a bassist.
Nah, I don't think so either. But there has been a lot of like turnover, it seems like, in the music scene. There's been a lot of bands that have been changing slowly over the last few years, and I don't know if some of it has to do with COVID wearing people down finally, or I don't know. I'm just not 100% sure. All right, yeah, no comments on that. Yeah. Nobody cares. You can find us on social media at Three Finger Betty. YouTube is, I guess there's no direct YouTube link, but you can find us by searching Three Finger Betty. We're on there. John and Clint, you got anything you want to add to this episode before we smash the door shut on it?
Thanks for digging us.
Yeah,
hope you like the record.
Yeah,
spread it far and wide.
Keep if you like it, show it to your friends.
Yep.
Yeah, word of mouth is actually the best still. Like, I mind blown that it is, but it is. It works 1,000 times better than just sending someone an invite to like the page.
Oh yeah.
Or the classic, like, here's a video I made and it gets like 20 likes on Facebook, but then it only has like 2 views. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
appreciate that.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. But I mean, that happens. I mean, it's a crazy world out there with like lots of stuff to watch. Everybody's creating new content all the time. So, I mean, we're not the only ones to drop an album this year during COVID either. I mean, TV Cop did it, Sleepover did it. If Sleepover didn't do it, it was, right before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of us that went around this time frame. And I don't think we could have picked a better time to release the album. Feels like every song and everything fits perfectly for the narrative.
The artwork, everything.
It all just fits so well with what's going on right
now. It was all made before any of this shit went
Our
down.
EP is just a little gas on the top of the fire.
Yeah, no kidding. John and Clint, appreciate it. Thanks for joining me.
No problem.
Yes, indeedy.
Oh, yeah. It's fun to have a couple of your buddies joining you on the podcast. Buddies, indeed. Those two, if it wasn't for them, like I said in the intro, I wouldn't really have much going on these days. So, hey, it's Clint pretty much that I started my musical journey with, and here I am still journeying around with him. So, hats off to you, Clint, and John for writing all the awesome material that we hear in Three Finger Betty. He is the brains behind it. This is 99% his brainchild. He comes up with ideas and spins them off of us, and then that's pretty much what that's Betty right there. It's his baby. So if you guys like what you hear, tell John hi at the next show and tell him you loved it. If you guys haven't heard the new album, go to Bandcamp and check it out. I think it's I know it is. It's threefingerbetty.bandcamp.com. If you guys don't want to type that out, just scroll down into the description section. It's down there. It's down in the descriptions. You can just click the link and you can check out the new album. There's 6 songs. A couple of them are re-recorded, but you know what? They changed. They changed just enough from the earlier versions that it ended up being a new thing of its own, even though it's the same song. So check that out. It will be available for streaming everywhere, maybe even by the time this podcast comes out. Maybe not. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll have to see. If you guys are wondering, maybe check it out. Otherwise, check out Three Finger Betty on Facebook. I'm sure we will announce when it goes live on all of the platforms. We're going to do all the platforms everyone else is doing, plus as many as we can find. So check it out. We're gonna have that going. Three Finger Betty. There's merch available at the Bandcamp as well. There's social media. Find it down below. Click on it. Enjoy it. I hope you guys like the new EP. It was a long time in the making, and I'm glad it's finally out there, and now it's on to the next thing, I guess. So check that out. If you're looking for more Audible Farm goodies, you can find it audiblefarm.com. There you will find links to everything, including the Patreon page where there are video versions of this podcast. You will also find a link to the Audible Farm shop. You can find it at shop.audiblefarm.com, and you can find all the Audible Farm goodies there. There's stickers, t-shirts, and hoodies available, and that Patreon page. Those are the 2 best ways to support Audible Farm. Otherwise, word of mouth. Just tell someone about a cool episode you heard, or if you guys, this is your first episode you've listened to, scroll back through and check it out. I've done another episode with Clint. He was actually the very first episode I did. And I've done a couple episodes with John before, so check those out. There's some in the past. I almost guarantee you there's somebody you know in the episode catalog here. And if not, get to know somebody new. So hey, I gotta say thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed the album if you listened to it. And if you haven't, go check it out. We worked really hard on it, and I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy it. So check it out. It's threefingerbetty.bandcamp.com. It's in the description section down below. If you really like it, you can toss us $5 and you can have the digital copies. We do have physical versions on the way. Once again, follow us on all the social media. We will keep you posted on that. So we'll check you guys later. Peace.